ready for the ultimate showdown. You might be a high school athlete that does not know anything or have any idea what NIL is, or you might be a college athlete that has heard about NIL, but you don't really know the basics. Well, stay tuned because I'm going to break down NIL and share the similarities and differences of NIL for high school and college athletes, so you know what perspective to view it in, so you can know how to navigate it regardless of what level you're at. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, visiting my channel, let me just say, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to have you here. My name is Angelica. I'm an attorney and a sports agent, and my passion is to help student athletes and their parents navigate personal branding and NIL by educating them and advising them so they can win at this NIL game. I'm really excited about today's video because today's video, I'm going to be breaking down NIL and sharing the similarities and differences for at the high school level and the college level. If you haven't looked at my video that I did about why students and their parents should learn and understand NIL, please check out the video right here. There's been a lot of discussion about the differences and what high school athletes can do, what college athletes can do, and it can be really confusing. But today I'm going to break down those similarities and differences, so let's get into it. Now, this video, I'm going to be talking about NIL for high school athletes versus college athletes, so you know how to approach it from your own individual perspective. And the reason why that is important is because there's going to be different rules depending on what level you're at. So if you don't know the rules, you ain't gonna know how to play this game. The first thing you need to know is there are going to be layers to how NIL is governed. First, NIL is governed at the state level. We're going to say that the state level is the very top. Majority of states have actually allowed for college athletes to participate in NIL. Only 30 states have allowed for high school athletes to participate in NIL. And this is going to be super important because if you're a high school athlete, you need to know whether your state actually is allowing for high school athletes to participate in NIL opportunities. Depending on whether your state allows it or not is going to dictate how you do NIL, what rules, NIL rules are going to apply to you. And basically you need to know that because it varies from state to state. They're not all the same, and they're going to have some very stark differences between them. A lot of them have very basic, mostly the same rules, but ultimately you need to know what your particular state says. Now, which state you attend school is going to be the state that dictates your NIL rules that you will follow. If you live in one state, or you're from one state, and you attend school in another, the state that you attend school in is the state that will be the one that you need to follow those NIL rules. So make sure you know what state you attend school in and what their NIL laws are. The next level is the NCAA. So that's right underneath the state laws. Now, the NCAA has their own individual rules. If you do not know what those rules are, make sure you go over to the NCAA website, or you talk to your school's compliance department, and they should be able to tell you what rules the NCAA has in place regarding NIL. Of course, the NCAA rules mostly apply to college students, but there are some things from a high school perspective that will apply to high school students for high school students that are looking to play at the collegiate level. What you don't want to happen is that you do something in high school that will make you ineligible to play at the college level. So it's going to be really important for you to know, especially if you're a high school athlete, what the NCAA rules are so that you don't affect your chances of playing at the collegiate level. But also, if you're a college student, go ahead and visit your compliance department, because that will be very, very helpful for you to know what's the ins and outs as far as NIL is concerned. Now, a big issue is definitely what happens when the state law and the NCAA's rules conflict. Well, Of course, like I said, there's a hierarchy, or I said that state law is at the top. Well, state law will govern. So, there's been a lot of, conflict between the states and the NCAA. And my advice is if you find that your state law conflicts with something that the NCAA states, then I suggest that one, you get advice from your compliance department, but also two, I would suggest you try to toe that line very, very carefully, because again, just like at the high school level, you don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize your eligibility at the collegiate level. So a lot of times what happens is the state will allow something and the NCAA will not allow you to do something. What I recommend is that you follow what the NCAA says, because technically they are the actual entity that governs your eligibility as a college athlete. So be careful and pay attention. The last level will be the school level. And this actually, the school level, every level is important, but the school level is going to be really important because a lot of schools have certain law or rules in place that they want you to follow, such as reporting rules. And when I say reporting, if you are doing NIL deals, a lot of times they want you to report what the deal is, who you're doing the deal with. And a lot of times the school are doing this because they are trying to keep track of data as far as what kind of NIL deals their students are doing, so that they can report it to the NCAA or report it to some other entities that keep track of NIL data. But also, the schools want to make sure the athletes are being protected in some type of way, or they're aware of the different deals that you're doing, because a deal that an athlete or college athlete could do very well could conflict with maybe a potential sponsor for the school. So they're trying to make sure to keep track of all that stuff. And they will set their own rules, especially if the school prohibits you from using any of their trademarks in anything that you may do as far as NIL. So for instance, if you do a brand deal and you're doing some type of social media campaign, they may restrict you from wearing any type of school apparel while you're doing your NIL activities. So you want to make sure that you're really clear on what your school rules are, so that you don't violate any of the school rules, again, getting yourself in trouble, potentially putting your eligibility at issue or in jeopardy. But then also, you don't want to be in breach of a contract that you have with a company that you're doing an NIL deal with. So you want to make sure you're paying attention at state level, at the NCAA level, and at your school level as far as any type of rules they put in place. And this is also very much applies to at the high school level as well, because a lot of the states are requiring high school athletes and their parents to go through some type of NIL education before they can even engage in any NIL activities. So again, make sure you're paying attention and you know what all the rules and the laws are at every stage, because it's going to be important for you to know and be able to follow those things. Now I'm going to share some similarities and differences of NIL for high school and college athletes. So let's start with the similarities. One of the first similarities is that NIL can be used as a personal branding tool. And my opinion is that personal branding is at the foundation of NIL. Again, NIL is name, image, and likeness. Well, what is your personal brand? Your personal brand is who you are and how the public knows you and how the public perceives you. And a lot of that is based on your name, who you are, your image and likeness, and how you portray yourself to the public. So for me, NIL can very well be a personal branding tool and really help you jumpstart your way to building your own individual personal brand. Now, mind you, everybody has a personal brand regardless of whether you engage in NIL opportunities or not. But NIL could be that thing to help you start polishing it and really establishing yourself as a personal brand and what you want the public to know you for and know you as. One of the good things about NIL is that it can be used as a recruitment tool. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Angelica, well, how does this, apply like recruitment tool for college, for high school? At the high school level, it can be used as a recruitment tool to help you get some collegiate opportunities to play at the college level. So if you're trying to get more visibility, if you're trying to get more attention from schools, from coaches, if you're trying to get more visibility because you live in a small town, or you just getting started on social media, or you're not really getting a lot of attention because maybe you're a really good player, but your team may not, be all that great. They might not have a great record. Well, using your social media, or not social media, using NIL as basically a tool as a catalyst to really propel you into the public could be a really good way to get some eyes from recruiters. I've been saying that using NIL can really be the boost that you need to take you to the next level, from somebody who may have no idea who you are to somebody that may see something that you are advertising on social media and realize that you're a college student, and they decide to go do a little bit more research about you and see all the other great things you have to offer, which definitely even again starts at the personal branding level. So NIL could definitely be a huge recruitment tool, but NIL could also be a recruitment tool at the professional level as well, at the collegiate level, to get you to the professional level. Why is that? Because think about most of the professional, I don't even say football players, a lot of them again have a personal brand. A lot of them were really great at the college level. People knew them for being, probably really good pillars in the community, doing great things. They might know them for academics, whatever. But ultimately, establishing your personal brand could really, and engaging in NIL opportunities can again put you out there in the forefront to the public and get the attention of teams at the professional level. And honestly, nobody's going to turn away somebody who is very skilled and can play at the professional level, and then also has the persona and the brand to complement that particular sport. Again, with football, they love people that are out in the community, may have a really snazzy or shiny personality, somebody who makes them laugh, or somebody who is super dedicated and really can show their journey. They may have a really great backstory, and then also have the skills to back it up and have that performance on the field. So NIL can very well be a recruitment tool, or at least serve as a recruitment tool to get you some visibility at the high school and the college level. Another similarity between the high school and the college level is that you can use NIL to make money. I probably should have started with that one. That probably should have been the number one similarity, right? That you can use NIL to make money. That should have been number one. Another similarity is that high school athletes and college athletes are on a time clock. So think about it. You're going to be an athlete, whether you're at the high school level or the collegiate level, for a very limited period of time. And what you do during that time is going to determine how far you can go, especially in athletics. What you do during that time will really determine how far you can go, whether you're a high school student and you desire to play at the collegiate level, or you're a college student and you may, desire to play at the professional level. What you do during that limited period of time is going to be super important, which is why it is very important to understand what you're going to do and have a goal and a strategy when it comes to NIL, because you have a very short window of time to really utilize your persona as an athlete to, really get NIL opportunities. Of course, NIL is such a big deal because athletes are able to use that heightened persona that they have and that influence that they have to get NIL deals and make money. So you want to make sure that you understand that you're on the clock, and how you utilize that time is going to be so important for you. And I'll give you some examples of, maybe how at the high school level, if you utilize that time during high school, right? Even if you decide that you don't want to play at the collegiate level, if you utilize that time right, doing NIL deals, honing your skills as an athlete, and who knows that when you get to college, if you even decide to go to college, you could very well take that stuff that you learn at the high school level and coach one day. you could decide that you want to, be, a coach at the Parks and Recs level. You can also decide that you want to work, for a team and be a coach, be an assistant coach. You don't always have to necessarily be have been a collegiate athlete or a professional athlete to coach at those levels. While it helps, that's not necessarily the case. You can also, if you're at the high school level, you can also start and you were like successful, really, really skilled. You can always do lessons, do private, like when I say lessons, I mean private lessons, and like start a career even in that field. So that's just even from a high school level, from somebody that did not go to play at the collegiate level. But then you may also be at the collegiate level and you don't play professionally. You can utilize those same skills. If you got a plan, have a career, but also utilize that persona of you being an athlete. I know, like, I'm from a small city, and there's been people that have played at the college level who have come back. They've become coaches. They've hosted camps. They've just had a lot of influence because people respected them as an athlete. So they were able to do things that, other people who weren't able to play at those levels, they were able to come back and, hit a lot of milestones and have a lot of support amongst the community because people respected them because they were a really talented and successful athlete. Okay, now let's get into some of the differences of NIL for high school and college athletes. Your ability to participate in NIL, that was one of the things I was talking about at the state level. One of the differences is, say for instance, you live in a state that does not allow for high school athletes to participate in NIL, but at the collegiate level, they can. This is very possible. Like I said, there's only 30 states that allow high school athletes to participate in NIL at the high school level. So, it's going to be pretty often that this happens. So that's one of the differences between high school and college athletes. Another difference is guidance and resources. At the high school level, again, because NIL is not good, like allowed in all states, there's going to be very, very limited resources, especially if you're interested in learning about the subject of NIL in high school, especially if you plan on going, wanting to play at the collegiate level, but you want to get a head start in learning more about NIL. Your resources and the guidance are probably going to be really, really limited at that level, specifically within your state if you don't know anybody, at the high school level that knows about it. Now, again, because at the collegiate level, it is allowed, you may have to find somebody at the collegiate level or that works with college athletes in your state or even other states as well, but you may have to find somebody at the collegiate level that can help you and provide some of that guidance and resources if you have questions. Now, of course, at the collegiate level, your college, you will hope that your college has resources, but a lot of them have not decided that NIL is something that they should prioritize. Actually, a lot of schools still even push back. A lot of schools, a lot of coaches, they still push back on this whole NIL thing. A lot of them still think it's a distraction, but honestly, NIL is not going anywhere. And I think that the sooner that schools embrace NIL and help their students really capitalize on it and maximize the opportunity, the better off they will be on so many different fronts. But even if, say for instance, your school is doing something with NIL, some schools are small, they might not have the budget to really bring in people on a regular basis. Like there's some schools that have created a whole NIL department. There's some schools that have dedicated, like hired somebody just specifically for NIL alone. A lot of schools, particularly like the smaller schools, the HBCUs, they don't have that type of budget and infrastructure to bring somebody on a permanent basis to dedicate just to NIL. Like they're still even just trying to manage their budget to fit the needs of just the student athlete and athletic department in general. So even at the collegiate level, even though you're allowed to do NIL, your school may not have, you may not have the guidance or the resources available, depending on what school you go to, whether you can go to a bigger school or a smaller school. And even some of the bigger schools still don't have all the resources, or they're not really all that invested in NIL. Another difference is age. When I say age, I mean maturity and experience. When you're in high school, there are going to be plenty of things that you have yet to experience versus what a college athlete or a college student would have the opportunity to experience. So there's going to be a little bit of a limited scope of experience, which of course plays into your ability to have a certain perspective or a vision for your life. Regardless of what level, whether it's high school or college, like a lot of, just students and athletes in general are still trying to figure out their lives, right? But depending on like how mature you are and what kind of experience you've had will really dictate how you see yourself and how you see the future and how you're going to be able to visualize you engaging in NIL. Maturity and experience has a lot to do with that. Ultimately, no matter what age you are, I know you're still trying to figure it out, but it's going to be really important for you to really try to develop some type of vision for yourself, even if you don't necessarily stick to it. Think about all the times in school that you change your mind about what kind of career you want to go into. Well, at the end of the day, you had to figure out whether a career was not for you or not. So keep testing out those things. Keep trying to figure out what your vision is going to be. And it's okay if it changes from time to time, but you got to have one to really try to figure out what way you're going to go and what direction you're going to go in life. Also, when you're in high school, more than likely you're under the age of 18, which means that you don't necessarily have the ability to enter into contracts. The thing is, when you're under 18 and somebody is trying to enter into a contract with you, more than likely they are going to ask, and the state probably requires that you have an adult or a guardian to sign that contract with you, because the guardian is going to be able to look over it, make sure that it is not in any violations of laws. And even if they don't know the laws or whatever, they're going to make sure that hopefully it's in your best interest to enter into that contract. But of course, when you're a college student, more than likely you're over the age of 18, which means you get to freely enter into contracts and agreements. But that also can be very difficult because, when you turn 18, it's just like, I'm an adult, I can do what I want. But you still very well may not know all the things and have that knowledge and experience and maturity to really know what's in these contracts and what's in these agreements and what you're agreeing to and what you're signing up to do. So, a lot of the big differences when it comes to age is maturity, experience, and even your ability to enter into contracts. That's all I have for you today. Those are the similarities and the differences between high school and college athletics. At least there's some of them. There's plenty more, but of course I don't want this video to be a whole hour, 3-4 hours long. But I hope you got something out of it, whether you're a high school or a college athlete, or you might be a parent looking at this video as well. Please drop down in the comments and give me some feedback on what your biggest takeaway was from this video. And let me know, like, if you're a high school athlete or college athlete, also let me know in the comments as well. If you have not liked this video, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please make sure you do so. I want to continue to be able to help and reach the masses and reach people in high school and college athletes and parents that need this information. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.